My mother handed me an invoice for $45,000 and casually explained it was my sibling tax for being single and childless. I stared at the glossy paper, utterly baffled, then looked back at her. We were sitting at a diner, and she was stirring her coffee like she hadn't just demanded a life-altering down payment. Ashley is expanding her family, my mom said, without a single hint of irony. They need a custom edition for the new twins. You just have a golden retriever. It is time you paid your fair share. My younger sister Ashley has always been the undeniable golden child. Growing up, she got brand new cars while I got hand-me-down bicycles. She got out-of-state college tuition paid in full while I worked 30 hours a week at a warehouse just to survive community college. Ashley married a guy who calls himself a crypto visionary, which is really just a fancy word for unemployed. I slid the insulting invoice back across the table. I am not paying for Ashley's luxury home renovation, Mom. Her face instantly turned bright red, her voice dropping into a vicious hiss. We are not asking you, David. The contractors started demolition yesterday. Your father already pulled the funds from the equity line on the lake cabin. We just need you to deposit the 45 grand to cover the required margin. She smiled, a incredibly calculated smirk. Family helps family. She genuinely thought I would panic, cave in, and write the check just to keep the peace, exactly like I did when we were defenseless kids. But my mother, in all her arrogant glory, made one catastrophic mistake. She mentioned the lake cabin. 7 years ago, my parents were drowning in massive debt and facing foreclosure on that generational family cabin. To save it, they literally cried to me for a bailout. I agreed, but I demanded my name be put on the deed as a joint tenant, and I became the primary account holder on the mortgage. I saved their financial lives. Once the dust settled, they conveniently forgot I owned half the property, and they definitely forgot that any new line of credit required MY explicit notarized signature, which legally meant the massive loan they just pulled for Ashley's contractor was entirely undeniably fraudulent. I didn't cause a public scene at the diner. I just smiled softly, politely paid for the coffees in cash, and walked out to my rental car. The second I shut the door, I called my real estate attorney. Hey, Tom, I said, putting the car in drive. My parents just committed wire fraud on my property. Let's freeze it, Tom chuckled, the kind of deep laugh that costs $400 an hour. Say less, he replied smoothly. We didn't just freeze the bank account, because I was the primary owner, and they committed literal fraud. I had the absolute legal right to force a partition sale. I spent the next 3 days in my hotel room, gleefully drafting the most beautifully destructive legal documents of my life. 4 days later, at exactly 6 in the morning, my phone erupted. It was Ashley. She was screaming so loud, the phone speaker crackled. The contractors walked off the job. They said the bank reversed the transfer. What did you do? I took a slow sip of my dark roast coffee. Well, Ashley, I said, my voice calm, it turns out you simply can't use stolen money to build a nursery. My mother called next, violently crying, aggressively playing the victim. You are destroying this family. We will go to jail. Fix this right now. I let her cry for a full minute before I responded. I didn't destroy anything, Mom. I am just finally collecting my sibling tax. I hung up and permanently blocked their numbers. My lawyer gave them one devastating ultimatum. Buy out my legal half of the cabin, or face federal fraud charges. They drained their entire retirement savings just to pay me off and stay out of prison. As for Ashley's beautiful new addition, it sat half demolished, covered in cheap blue tarps, for 10 agonizing months. I used the settlement money to buy a modern beach house in Florida. I sent them one final postcard, a glossy picture of the ocean sunset with a very simple, handwritten message on the back. Thanks for the tax.